Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about accessibility in Koha and Aspen. So, why is it important? Well, firstly, it's a legal requirement for public sector bodies, including the NHS, local government, education, and some charities, to ensure that their public facing web pages meet WCAG 2.2, and that's since August last year. There are regular audits by the Cabinet Office, and if you're found wanting, you will be given a list of items to fix and a reassessment will take place. And in our experience, this is a pretty reasonable period, about 4 to 6 months later. You are then able to list in your accessibility statement any items that are still in progress with the expected dates that you will complete them. And these Cabinet Office inspections seem to go in cycles of 3 to 5 years, which is what we've experienced with some of our customers. And secondly, we should never only provide for the majority of our users if it then negatively impacts on the minority. Because in reverse, if we make our website more accessible, we do improve the experience for everyone. For example, consider your colour choices. Making contrast easier will make reading more efficient for smaller screens, dimmer lighting, and those with visual impairments. Allowing the tab plus the enter button to be used while manoeuvring around the page benefits someone with a broken wrist and those with permanent manipulation impairments. So disabilities and impairments are sometimes situational or temporary as well. So addressing accessibility improves service for everyone. So usually the PAW principles are used to describe website accessibility, and these are perceivable. The information and user interface components must be presentable to users in ways they can perceive. So in simpler terms, it can't be invisible to any of their sensors. So alternatives to those sensors should be supplied. And an example of that is adding alt text to your images. It has to be operable, meaning the user interface components and navigation must be able to be used. The example would be using keyboard instead of a mouse. It has to be understandable. Users can comprehend information as well as how to use the interface. So an example here would be adding instructions to an input form on your website. And it has to be robust because technologies and user agents advance and evolve. So your content needs to remain accessible. A good example here is using markup languages correctly so that any changes to your web technology or browsers doesn't affect accessibility of the contents of your page. So remember, no matter how accessible your software is out of the box or what level of WCAG it has reached, if it is customizable, then it can easily be broken by what you do with it. And this is certainly the case with the Koha OPAC and Aspen. Any audit of a website will not care what official WCAG the product has gained. They will just test you to 2.2 standard requirements and let you know what has failed. We have had several customers have audits of Koha by the Cabinet Office and other external bodies, and it is very rare that the points found are consistent to all Kohas. The points are most often due to style choices made by the customer. That is why it is so important that if we are involved in creating or updating a web-based portal, that we understand the principles of accessibility too. So on the screen now is a simplified list, a very simplified list of what a good website accessibility entails. A good example of the faults often found is in magnification. Any test against WCAG2 will expect the content to be able to be magnified up to 200% without text falling off the screen. This is the required percentage for success criteria. 200% is very achievable in many cases, but where you are using columns or minimizing the full width of the screen, this can prove problematic and is therefore often found in accessibility statements. It's definitely something to think about when you're organizing your pages in the first place, especially if you want them to be very active or aesthetically pleasing. Interestingly, if you get a third party to assess your accessibility, they will take the magnification up to 400% and let you know the results because they're testing for the ideal. So images. Not all images and graphics require alt text. If the image is decorative or not informative, this is not necessary. So your logos would be exempt. A very basic and simple principle to follow is that when adding text, remember to use the headings, not just emboldening or making the text larger, and try to avoid PDFs. These often act more like images and are difficult for screen readers to manage. And always avoid pop-ups or dialog boxes and small tick boxes. These are very hard to close when you're not using a mouse. Don't just think about contrast when you're choosing colours. Your neurodiverse patrons may find bright clashing colours or flashing graphics a barrier to use, and some people may be vulnerable to seizures caused by those flashing graphics too. Think about those with dyslexia when deciding on fonts. Keep left aligned if you can, and don't underline or use italics for emphasis. Most people also appreciate if you don't overdo the block sizes of text. Bullet points are your friend. Accessibility for Koha has been audited externally by companies such as the Shaw Trust for some of our customers. And when development needs have been found and the work is completed, we always feed this into the community Koha for the next release. And we'll often backport these for our customers on the Open Fifth branch too. We have an example accessibility statement to help you prepare one. I'm going to talk about this a little more later. It's an excellent idea to test your pages both on large and small mobile screens and also test in different browsers. You would be surprised how often some of your site works very differently depending on the browser. If you contact us after this webinar, we're going to provide the slides with recommendations for lots of useful free testing links, which are also on the final slide of this presentation. So Koha is currently compliant with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines WCAG 2.1 AA standard. It's very close to WCAG 2.2. But as I explained previously, their ability to be thoroughly customized means that in practice, your Koha or Aspen might not be meeting the standards, or we have some customers' Kohas which now match and exceed 2.2 standards. And these have been externally audited to that level. Koha supports full keyboard-only navigation, allowing users who cannot use a mouse to access all features and navigate the interface efficiently. It's got customizable display options. You can change font size, text color, and background colors to improve readability. It's got screen reader compatibility with careful attention to page titles and headings so that screen readers can accurately and efficiently convey information. And unique page titles are presented first, making it easier for screen readers to identify and navigate logically. It's web-based, standards-compliant interfaces. So all the major interfaces, the OPAC, staff, management, self-checkout are web-based and built using standards-compliant HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which means that the compatibility with assistive technologies is good and provides platform or browser independence too. It's community-driven. So the Koha community includes a dedicated web accessibility advocate, and accessibility is a required part of the quality assurance process for new code contributions. This ensures that ongoing enhancements don't break any accessibility. It's multilingual, of course, so this makes it accessible to users from diverse backgrounds. And it's got additional features such as the use of CSS for layout and styling rather than HTML. This allows for better compatibility with the assistive technologies and easier customization, of course. The system's modular and open source nature means libraries can implement further accessibility enhancements tailored to their own users. The community has an accessibility wiki page. Let me show you that now. So that's this one that's on the screen here. There's a lot of information on here, including a statement for Koha itself, which will help you guide your own. But in a nutshell, your accessibility statement must mention which of the WCAG success criteria the problem fails on, or the item, as in your OPAC, fails on, and when you hope to fix it. There is also the preparation statement to do, which is a legally required statement, so its format should not be changed, and it looks like this. This statement was prepared on, and this is the date it was published. It was last reviewed on, and the date it was last reviewed. This website was last tested on, and this the testing date. And then add the name of the organization that carried out the test, or indicate that you did your own testing. But this wiki page is a great place to start building your own. And since the 2021-05 release, Koha has had an official accessibility advocate on the release team, and the role focuses on promoting accessibility, including coding guidelines, and ensuring it's prioritized in future developments. There is also a special Koha dashboard for the accessibility bugs, which, as we know, bugs in Koha also includes developments and enhancements. And we'll just go to that one now. So this accessibility bugs Koha is a great place to go if you want to help signing some off, or if you can track if there are any you would like to see that are progressing through and what stages they have got to. You can see that we've done an amazing job at going through the accessibility bugs at the moment, and there's not much there showing, which is what we want to see, right? So let me go back to my screen. So let's talk about Aspen next. So Aspen is currently compliant with, again, with WCAG 2.1, and is also working towards 2.2. Aspen has color contrast customization, so you have control over your full color schemes, including links, text, and background colors. The platform checks for sufficient color contrast to ensure readability, and multiple themes are available, which allows patrons to select a display option that best suits them. The themes can be chosen whether or not the user is logged in too. They've got screen reader optimization in Aspen, which is designed to work well with those screen readers. Decorative content such as book cover images in search results are programmatically skipped so that the screen reader user is not overwhelmed with irrelevance. The platform emphasizes meaningful alt text and avoids unnecessary repetition. Its keyboard navigation is great, enabling users who can't use a mouse to access everything, and multilingual support again. And again, similar to Koha, because it's community driven, the model allows for ongoing enhancements and responsiveness to look at accessibility needs. You can, as an administrator, also customize the interface to meet specific requirements of your own community. You can simplify navigation facets, for example, for children in your children's libraries. The Web Builder tool enables the creation of accessible custom pages, forms, and content. And there's symbol and format indicators. So it displays common accessibility symbols such as closed captioning for media, which helps users quickly identify the resources that they need. So let's have a look in more detail, for instance, screen readers in Koha. So screen readers use headings and structure to make sense of web pages. And without providing those hooks for the screen reader, it would be a confusing mess for those users. Headings are the words or sentences on a web page acting as a headline or title to break up your web page content. Headings labels are found in all word processors and web building software, such as HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Additionally, they provide page content structure by organizing it into smaller, easier to navigate sections. So you should only really have one H1 level heading. This is usually used for the title of the web page. Then the rest of the headings should follow a logical hierarchy of reading, so it's easy to understand the context of the information and navigate it logically. You can also hide all of these heading levels with screen reader only classes. Then the heading will still be accessible for the screen readers, but have no visual change on your actual screen. We also must try to relabel tabs so that we don't just cut off the description and avoid long tab headings. And this is particularly relevant for the staff side of Koha because we use tabs an awful lot there. And in the OPAC, consider using page buttons on a side panel with good labeling instead of tabs. So when we're using tables, we use captions instead of headings, but it acts exactly the same. So a table without captions would provide no context for a screen reader, and it would just jump to the first row of the table, which is very jarring and might not make sense. Captions are easy to add to them, and there's the option to not display them visually in the same way. On the whole, much of tabular information in Koha has already had this work done for you, especially on the staff side. But of course, any tables you are showing in the OPAC would need to be done. Forms are very similar to tables, but instead of a caption, you need to have a legend heading to describe the content. You can easily set this up by adding the legend tag. Again, you can elect for them not to be displayed visually and still be read by a screen reader. These are done with CSS, HTML, or JavaScript, depending on if it's the staff interface or the OPAC. There are style sheets too, and these are available as plugins with different OPAC styles. If you are unfamiliar with web editing, don't worry, this is something that we do support our customers with. I'm just going to pop out of this and show you a really good accessibility checker, which is called Wave. And the link to this is also available at the end of this presentation. So these are really good evaluation tools to check that your screen reader is doing its job, that you've got all the right headings and things to make that possible. So a really good site to visit. Okay, so now let's have a look at how Aspen works with themes, basically. So the high contrast, so the majority of Aspen's interface colors are, as you know, customizable, and a contrast ratio column is available in there as you are creating to serve as a tool to ensure that your contrast ratio is good. The higher the number in the column, the higher the contrast and the more readable the text will be. If you select a low contrast combination in the lower image here, the number will show, it will be low and it will show in red. And if you try to save that theme with those color combinations, Aspen will display an error and revert back to the previous color. So it's not even possible to create an inaccessible color scheme by accident. And libraries can control this minimal contrast level allowed in the layout settings. The default minimum is 4.5, which is the WCAG2 level, and we recommend this be the lowest ratio, but you can make this higher. So Aspen's high contrast theme enables base CSS enhancements, but it covers quite a lot more than just the background and etc. It will add a filter to increase the contrast to the overall styling, and this includes images. It will increase the minimum font size. It will add underlines to all the links. It will add a pointer cursor to all the links. And it inverts the colours on modals so that they contrast from the main Aspen body. And these enhancements will be applied automatically to the high contrast theme when that theme is checked. In order to offer a high contrast theme, you will need to either create your own or import one from the community. We recommend importing an existing high contrast theme from the community to make setup a lot easier. Then you make your own local amendments. If you are a customer of ours, please ask us to release the community import for your admin. And let me show you where in Aspen the contrast ratio shows and how to add the themes. So we'll just pop out of here. So I'm just going to pop to our example Aspen here. Forgive me a moment. I'm going to have to log in. Okay, so this is what you see when you're in administration for Koha, for Aspen, and we need to scan all the way down to go to the web builder, and then we'll just pop to basic pages here. And then on the left-hand side here, we've got themes and layouts, and we're going to go to themes. So these are the ones you can see that we've already set up. But if you go down to the bottom right-hand side, you will see that you can import community content from here. It then will appear, you click on the one you want. This includes the dark theme that is also available in there, and import it. And then it appears in your own theme settings here as normal. And then you can edit to make adjustments. You can change the theme name, which will only be internal. It doesn't revert back to the community content. And the display name will show to your patrons, which is important for things like the dark theme that you might want them to be able to select even when they are not logged in. So in the case of dark mode, let me give you an example. This is one where I'm not signed in to my Aspen at all. And if I go to languages and display, I can change this to the dark mode. We've also got high contrast there. So if I close this now, why hasn't it changed? I need to save it. There we go, that's better. So now you can see what it looks like in dark mode, and you'll note that I've been able to do that even when I am not logged in. It is worth noting when you're using themes that your logos and custom fonts will not be copied over. So you do have to remember to re-add these to your theme and save. And just to remind you again that the imported theme does not then sync with the community. So if you wanted to share it back, you would have to do that too. So let me go back to my presentation. So there's a lot more to accessibility than what I can possibly cover today. But I do recommend a visit to the governmental accessibility pages, and that's included here. It's got a very useful do's and don'ts of designing a web page, which is a really good basing place to start. And testing is vital. So please do ask your users or a wide variety of your staff to keep testing your front-facing web pages. this will mean that as the more people to spot any issues as well. Accessibility guidelines are constantly changing, and your Koha and Aspen portals will hopefully be changing too over time. So it's not a once and you're done type thing, isn't accessibility checking. You should always be testing against it regularly. I mentioned before, the Wave is a highly respected set of different checks, and this includes a screen reader compatibility and the ability to add different browsers, or you can actually add an extension to each of those browsers so that you can click on it and see what that web page looks like in each of them. There's a specific check for keyboard functionality, and the one I've included here as an example is Tab Ally. And of course, we have to check what web pages will look like on mobile devices too. So here are two that work for Apple and Android. If you're one of our customers and you have run some tests, or you've had an audit and found your OPAC or Aspen is wanting a little bit on accessibility, please do raise a ticket or get in touch with your account manager, and we will work with you to shorten that accessibility statement. So with accessibility in mind, please ask us if you need these slides for the links that are on there. We are aware that the YouTube recording won't fill that need. We are planning the last quarter of the year for webinars, so do let us know if you'd like to know more about any topics or products. And we have webinars coming up on customizing your Koha OPAC and Aspen, and an exciting introduction to Atom archival software. So please do sign up on the Eventbrite, and we hope to see you there.